In this recipe I show you how to make the ultimate fall comfort pasta, including butternut squash, earthy mushrooms, cheese and fresh spinach. So let's get cooking. Okay, first let's talk about the ingredients. The most important ingredient in this recipe is orzo. This is a pasta from Italy and has a shape like rice, as you can see here. Next we need salt and pepper, some olive oil. We need 1 butternut squash and a handful of sage. We need a semi-hard cheese and 1 knob of butter. Then we have shallots and garlic, and then we need some vegetable stock. Then we have some mushrooms. In this case it's king oyster mushrooms. Also we will add some baby spinach. And that's all you need. The first thing we do is to prepare our butternut squash. We just cut the butternut squash into small cubes. Let's put this aside. Spoon out all the seeds you can see in here. When you have all the cubes ready, put them in a bowl and set aside. Now just put all the cubes onto the baking sheet. Sprinkle some olive oil. Add some salt. Now add around 2/3 of the sage leaves. And then we give everything a good mix. This now goes into the oven at around 200 degrees or 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 to 50 minutes. What we're going to prepare in the meantime is our mushrooms. In this case, king oyster mushrooms. We cut them twice, kind of this way, just like this, kind of. King oysters are cultivated mushrooms, and compared to porcini, they are not only cheaper, but have a milder and slightly sweet flavor. So for sure, for this recipe you can use porcini as well, or any other kind of mushroom you like. Get yourself your stove. Now we're using a slightly bigger frying pan for this, so the mushroom have some space between each other. Turn the heat on medium-low heat, adding some olive oil. So now we're frying them for about 5 to 7 minutes. Just be sure to flip them around once in a while. So the mushrooms are ready when they are golden brown all around, and we just put them aside for later. What we can do next is to prepare our other ingredients, which is the shallots. In this case we have 2 shallots, and also we have 2 cloves of garlic. Just peel the shallot and cut it into really small pieces. And then we do the same with the garlic. Just put all of this aside for later. So our butternut squash is just coming out from the oven. Looks really nice, crispy. We put just like 2 or 3 spoons in a food processor or mixer, and we will be adding like 2 or 3 tablespoons of vegetable stock. We just mix this together now into a creamy sauce, and we will be adding this later to the orzo pasta. For the other cubes of butternut squash, we just put them in a bowl. And we just put them aside. So what you do now is making a kind of a puree of some of these cubes of butternut squash. Just give it a good mix. If it's sticking together like this, we just add a little bit more of vegetable stock. Once again. What we want is kind of a cream like this. Perfect. So finally the time has come to prepare our orzo pasta with butternut squash. Get yourself a deep pan like this saute pan here. I also wrote a full article about saute pans and the difference between saute pans and frying pans, and you can see all this in the description below. So get yourself a deep pan like this. You have enough space to cook all the ingredients in one pot. We put the stove on medium heat with some olive oil. And then we are going to fry our shallots and garlic. We just reduce the heat a little bit. We are adding a knob of butter and as well as some of the sage leaves. Keep an eye on the butter so it's not turning brown. If you like, you can also deglaze all this with a little bit of white wine, with a Chardonnay, for example. We're turning the heat up again so the alcohol can evaporate. And finally, it's time for the pasta. We're adding all the orzo, which is 500 grams in this case. We are just toasting slightly the pasta in the butter. And just before it's going to stick down here at the bottom of the pan, we are adding about 1 liter of vegetable stock. The orzo takes about 7 minutes, so we just slightly undercook them, maybe 4 minutes. For this, we're going to close the pan with a lid. It's also beneficial to have another half a liter of vegetable stock by side. So if the pasta gets dry, and then you just add a little bit of some stock again. You can also stir from time to time so the pasta is not sticking at the bottom of the pan. Once again. As you can see, the pasta is getting a creamier texture. And adding a little bit of stock again. So we cook the pasta for another 2 minutes now. The pasta is almost al dente. And that's the time we are adding our puree. A good mix. If it's getting too dry, just add some more stock. Thanks to the puree, we are getting more of this lovely yellow color. When the pasta is almost done, it's time to add the baby spinach. That looks really good already. So the next thing we're going to add is our roasted butternut squash. Mix it in. Don't forget to add some more vegetable stock if the pasta is soaking up more of the liquid. So this almost looks like a risotto. Now we turn off the heat and give it a rest for about 1 to 2 minutes. In the meantime, we can fry our lovely king oyster mushrooms again. Now back to the pasta. It's time to add the cheese. For this, we're using about 50 grams of semi-hard cheese. In this case, it's Swiss Gruyere. You can use another kind of cheese you like, or just the one you have. But just be sure to have a hard and a semi-hard cheese. Just grate everything into the pan. This can be done using a microplane like this, so you get really small pieces of cheese. They will melt easier into the pasta and you will get a creamy texture. I'm doing this in 2 steps. I'm mixing the first half in. More stock is needed. And now the second half. Season with a little bit black pepper. And add a little bit of salt if needed. Give everything a good mix. And now we're ready to serve. Taking a plate. This is a really nice recipe because it's like super creamy. All these ingredients are more like an autumn ingredients and they match together really well. On top comes the mushrooms, some more cheese, and finally a sprinkle of olive oil. And here we go. Orzo with baby spinach, king oyster mushrooms, and butternut squash. It's really nice for the colder season, like the fall season, and everything matches together really well, coming together to a really creamy and super delicious pasta. I hope you try it out and enjoy. If you're a big fan of pasta, also don't forget to check out the following recipes as well. Until soon and happy cooking!